Alright guys, so few people have asked how to go about putting components on our Dronehaus Mach5 frame, and I designed the frame to be as easy to build as possible for such a small body. I'm going to show you some examples of how I build this frame to make it really easy to work on, but even in a small space. So you'll notice that I have these slots here. These are designed to be zip tie slots to hold components down, like your receivers, like the X4R and the XSR, and your video transmitters. These are the two Unifis. The Unify Racer edition got a lot fatter, but the Unify size or like a Hawkeye size is a lot easier, but these will still work just fine. So usually I'll put the video transmitter back here, kind of under the stack. I can get my RROSD or whatever PDB you might be using, perfectly fine over the top of that, and I'll run even wires underneath and over the top to keep it even and usable space. I'll show you a better example in a minute here. So you could do something like this, and you could put your, say, XSR right in here, wire up your video transmitter to your RR, and have this zip tied down right here. Right underneath your camera will be just above this right here. Or you could use your X4R also. It should be able to fit in here just so. Just like that. It's a little tight with these bigger components, especially with this big video transmitter. These will work. These little Unifis or a Hawkeye will work really well because they'll fit behind these standoffs back here. And then even with this little Unify, you could even get your X4R or XSR deep under the stack here, depending on how you want to go about that. And that gives you a little more room to fit wires in this space here under the camera. And then once you've got all that figured out, you can get your RROSD on top of that, put some 6mm standoffs, and these are 12mm. They're a little big, but you fit it in this tiny frame. These are only 30mm standoffs here, so it still comes out to be relatively squat. And you put your flight controller there, and it can come out a little cleaner than even some of the bigger builds that I've worked on before. So a finished example looking like this. So I've got my, I don't know if you can see that, I've got my Hawkeye tucked under here, my X4R S-Bus tucked under here, and I kind of did the wires where I have half my power wires going under the RR and the other half, positive under, and the negative wires going over the top to kind of distribute stuff, lots of wires to deal with in there, so that I could even still get in here and unplug my, unplug my video transmitter right there with some good little needle nose pliers. I can get in there and unplug that if I need to. I can just get to the buttons to bind my X4R if I need to do that for some reason. It just makes for a really nice clean build. So I've got all of my flying components on here, and then my camera on my top plate. So I'll just stick this guy on here, put my antennas into the antennas, plug my camera into my RROSD, and it's good to go. I screw the top plate down, so all I have to do is take my top plate off and unscrew my antenna and my camera, and I can work on my whole quad here. I've got my, all my components just right there, super easy access, even though it's a really tight space at the same time. So that's how you build your Mach 5.